As of me recording this, there's only a few days left of Season 3 right now. Oh, how I love this season. But we'll actually talk about what happened this season firstly. What's good, everybody? I'm the Rage Quit Guy. Let's just get right into this. Firstly, we're going to talk on the Battle Pass. Tier 1 is Robin from the Teen Titans. This is Tim Drake's Robin. And I think he's pretty cool for a tier 1 skin. Fun fact for you, excluding, these season, like these collab-based seasons, like Star Wars and Marvel and stuff, excluding those, this is the first time we actually had a collab skin be tier 1 since Chapter 2, Season 5 with The Mandalorian. But anyways, Robin, he's somebody we've been waiting for years because everybody wanted to complete the Teen Titans and stuff. His set, I think, is pretty alright. I do like he has a complete set, of course. Second skin is Haley Sky, which I just want to point out that she actually looks like a YouTuber I've seen before. I don't see a lot of people pointing that out, but if anybody can guess the YouTuber I'm talking about that Haley Sky looks like, let me know in the comments. But anyways, Haley Sky being the second skin, her being a cheerleader, I also will say some of the powers I know these guys have. She can change into a Storm Beast, and I guess she's like really powerful or something like that. I guess this is like her version of like the Hulk or something. But regardless, she can change into a Storm Beast, and I think a lot of people really do like her. I myself really like her. I do like these skins with the built-in emote that let them change back and forth and stuff. Next on the Battle Pass is Ziggy, which I don't know what technically his powers are. Like, I know, like, if you actually look at his set, a lot of his stuff is kind of like, I guess, referencing, mushrooms and stuff. So I guess referencing him being high or something. I don't know. If I had to guess what his powers are, I guess he's like a chameleon. So I guess he could camouflage. Maybe he could, like, stretch his tongue and catch stuff with it, I guess. I don't know. He's a kind of a mid skin. I kind of would have liked it if he had a slight bit more like a contrail or something like that in his set. I also would have liked if he had his own power on the island or something like that, like how everybody else did, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Ziggy, he's mid. The meme skin of the season, but Next up is Synthwave. She actually has the powers of, I guess, music and rhythm and stuff like that. So her little bass boost gauntlets, she's able to like use sound to her advantage or whatever, something like that. I think they did her a little bit better than Ziggy. I actually like kind of used her a little bit more. I don't know how other people feel about her, but I think she's pretty good. Next up is Kill Switch, and I guess his powers is, I guess he's kind of like a cyborg or something like that. We actually got him as a skin earlier this season, but anyways, I guess he's got like cyborg powers. His weapons can make him like go slow motion in midair and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna compare him to, I guess, being like a cyborg. But anyways, what I think of him, I kind of wish he had a glider, but I think he's one of the weaker skins in the Battle Pass. I don't see too many people using him. I haven't even used this guy yet. The only time I might use him is if I play as the Hunter hero class in LEGO Expeditions. But yeah, one of the weaker skins. I feel like Ziggy was done a little bit better than him. That's just my opinion. Coming up next is Light Rider, who has those little res block powers, I guess. The thing, I'm actually going to compare her powers to, I guess, Green Lantern. I would imagine, judging from her emote and from her power that's on the island, she could probably make anything she wants using the res cube. So I guess it's kind of like Green Lantern, where she could probably make anything she wants. As a skin, she looks good, but if you actually talk to the NPC, she doesn't seem the nicest ever. So I'm going to take off some points on that. She uses the color blue. I do like the color blue. There's a little bit biased here, but I think she's one of the better Battle Pass skins. I do like her powers. Some of her edit styles are done pretty well also. She's even got a casual fit, which I always do appreciate when these heroes have that. As of right now, for me, Kill Switch is still the weakest skin in the Battle Pass, but she's done a lot better than him. Now for the Tier 100 skin, that being Morgan Mist, which she actually has a few interesting things. Her powers on the map, of course, are like the bird things that she can like shoot from her hand, and I guess also the little cloak thing that turns her into a bird. So she's got like some form of dark magic. The person I would kind of compare her to is, I guess, kind of like Raven from Teen Titans. But anyways, her set is actually really good. Red isn't even my favorite color, but I think they handled it so well with her. Part of me kind of feels like she'd be the type of skin who should have had a built-in emote to let her change back and forth. I feel like that's just kind of missing from her. As to what she would change into, I don't know, but I feel like that's kind of something she's missing. I also want to point out how a lot of people are shipping her and Haley Sky. I guess the saying is true, opposites attract. But Morgan Mist, she's one of the better skins. Definitely deserves tier 100 to me. Last but not least, my favorite skin in the Battle Pass, Superman. Before we actually had the skin Clark Kent, this one is, of course, Superman. This being based off of the new Superman movie with David Corenswet playing him. I think his set was done a little bit better than the original Clark Kent skin, however, there's still some problems with it. I don't like the idea of his glider still being locked to only him, at least one of his gliders anyways. I don't like that, and then the other one is just somebody normally hanging from it. I would have loved if he had a built-in emote like Clark Kent that actually would change him back and forth to Clark Kent himself. David Corenswet's Clark Kent, obviously. His emote, I do understand it being a reference to the movie, but I personally would have liked it if it was kind of similar to the Super Ovation emote from the other Superman skins, you know, the Engineer, except it's just him flying, nothing's below him, and it plays the original Superman theme, or maybe his theme. I myself do use this Superman, and of course the original one, but I don't know. I think he could have been done a little bit better, if you ask me. Also, you guys probably didn't notice this, but this guy actually has brown hair instead of black hair, if you actually look kind of closely. Now that you see it, you can't unsee it. He's also got a pen and ink style that makes him look like the classic comic book Superman. And as much as I do like that, I feel like that should have been a separate skin. You know, like, so that way we have a comic book version, a movie version, and a pen and ink version. I'm not sure why those, couldn't, be separate. Overall, the Battle Pass skins were actually done a lot better. The emotes I would have changed a little bit, but these are still pretty okay. Better than the Star Wars stuff, in my opinion. Now we're looking at the weapons that we got this season and new mechanics. As I did before, I'm actually going to put a list on screen so you can follow along. The first thing we got is hero ranks. How this works is basically you have to either get kills or survive. The more you survive and the more kills you get, the higher your hero rank is. If you're playing with multiple people in duos, for example, if you get a kill and it ranks you up, the same will happen for your teammate even if they're not getting any kills or doing anything like that. Now the purpose of this, basically, whenever you get a hero rank up, you actually will get a short duration where it actually slowly heals up your health and shield, of course, prioritizing health over shield. After a while it stops. But what this thing also does is it actually, if you have any boons with you, it does make the boons better. And when you actually get to the max rank, which is S rank, and actually max it out and everything, it gives you all the boons that exist and makes your boons a lot better. And I actually do like that because it does encourage people to, I guess, try to want to be a little bit more aggressive. Some people I know are don't like that, I guess, but I personally like it. Now we got the Spire Rifle, which is kind of like an SMG. There's also a mythic version that you're actually able to get from the Daigo boss. The Unstable Yoink Shotgun, where basically when you actually shoot somebody with it, it actually pulls them towards you. I've seen a lot of people not really liking that one too much, but what do you guys think of it? This one I actually do like between the two shotguns. The Unstable Frostfire Shotgun. Basically, whenever you actually shoot one time and actually hit somebody, if it's on fire, if the shotgun's on fire, then whenever you hit somebody, it makes you faster. If it's cold, if it has the frost on there, you hit somebody, it then freezes them and makes them a little bit slower with the movement and stuff. I personally like this. I think it's kind of different. We don't see too many like this now. I love these exotics that we've been getting recently. This one I don't like too much. The Unstable Voltage Burst Pistol. Maybe it's just because of the way I play, but personally I cannot find too many uses for this. I think if used right, you could probably use it a little. Basically, how it works is you, whenever you actually shoot the first bullet and the last bullet on the magazine, it actually has a shockwave effect. I believe if used properly, you are able to basically, kind of propel yourself and stuff, but I myself am not the best at it. We got the Hyper Burst Pistol, which is basically like the Unstable Voltage Pistol, but without the shockwave effect. It's an okay pistol. There is a mythic version also that exists. But I find these pistols a little bit more interesting. The Kill Switch Revolvers, where basically this one is actually tied to Kill Switch. And what these basically are is they're basically dualies. And you can shoot them like normal dualies, but when you jump in the air and aim down sights while in midair, you actually kind of hover in the air and have some hang time, which is actually a really cool mechanic. You're also able to dodge while having the pistols in your hand. You can dodge forwards, backwards, or whatever. And then basically straight out of the Matrix or like Mad Max, you're able to shoot the pistols while in the air, while in slow motion. It's basically hang time, but for you it seems like it's slow motion, but it's not really for other people. They're still able to shoot you out of the sky and stuff. But I really like these. These are a unique idea for pistols. the Deadeye DMR. I know there's also like a Core version because, you know, Core is a boss and stuff because she's important. I'm not into, you know, these DMRs because, you know, I suck with them, but eh. We got the Mist Gauntlets, which are actually tied to Morgan Mist, and what they do is they kind of just shoot birds. I've seen a lot of people saying that, like, these things are bad and they don't do that good, but then again, I've seen other people saying that they die to them in comp and that they shouldn't be in comp at all. I think they're okay. I like the idea of them, of course, but are they like OP or anything? I don't know. You guys be the judge of that. Next is the Based Boost Gauntlets, which basically, these are tied to Synthwave, and how they work is you can actually, you know, either use the aim down sights button or the shoot button. If you use the aim down sights button while using the gauntlets, it actually propels you upwards. If you actually use the attack button, and then depending on what you play on, basically it shoots forward, and you can actually, and it doesn't do very much damage to people. It does do decent amount of damage to builds, but I do believe they did nerf that later, you know, after they were first introduced. But the way you really want to use this is for mobility. You can actually use the little jump move to like propel yourself up into the air, and go opposite, you know, turn yourself into the opposite direction of where you want to go. Shoot the the forward attack, and then it propels you into the direction that you want to go. It is really good mobility, and I actually really like it. Depending on the rarity, of course, that's how many shots you're able to have at a time and stuff. The most you can have is 4 if you have the mythic version. Then we got the Wingshot Grappler, which is basically a reskin of the Batman grapnel gun. The only way you're able to get this is from the Robin NPC on the map. You're able to just buy it from you know, with some gold, and then there you go. It's basically the exact same as it is and stuff, except whenever you glide, it basically has, you know, the Robin wings, and I think it has like 20 shots in there. I haven't used it too much, but it's got a lot of shots. I know that earlier this season they did patch a little exploit with like the grappler, with those kinds of grapplers where like it launches you and stuff, but at the same time it won't pull out the wings or your glider or anything like that, which is an interesting thing. I know a lot of people liked it, but what do you guys think of that? Next kill switch weapon or power of his is the Tracking Visor, which actually marks enemies for you whenever you actually use it. But even if you're not using it and just this is kind of a passive thing, you can actually see the footsteps of your enemies of where they previously were, and kind of highlighted in green, which makes it really OP for trying to find people. And I did see a lot of people kind of complaining about that because it makes it so easy to find some people in and stuff. The Crypto Tree, that being tied to Superman, basically it's kind of like a junk rift, except basically like wherever you throw the bone, that's where Crypto will land and basically stops it, unless you throw it on like the ground level. If you throw it on like on top of a build, he stops on the top of the build. He doesn't break through or anything like that. But he does kind of pack a punch, and I really do like that. Bless Crypto is a good boy. We also have 2 sprites, the Dash Sprite and the Superman Sprite. The Dash Sprite, basically when you throw it, you can actually get like some dashes, kind of like the Zero Shard dashes, or the Cerberus medallion thing, the Godzilla medallion, stuff like that. The Superman Sprite, you actually hold it in your hand, and you can actually shoot lasers out of it, basically. I'm not the best at using it, so it's not the best for me, at least. But I still like it. Now we have 2 medallions. The Infernal Defenses medallion from Daigo, you kill him, and it basically acts kind of like the Machinist medallion, except it gets you up to 50 shield, and it gets it up pretty fast after like a few seconds. The Shrouded Striker medallion is the core medallion, and what it does is whenever you jump, you actually have like a anti-gravity effect, so you're able to not take fall damage. And whenever you sprint jump, it makes you invisible, which a lot of people found useless. But then they updated it to where whenever you're sprinting and then jump, it then propels you into that direction a little bit farther, making it a little bit better for mobility. Also have a lot of boons: Stormcaller boon, Speed Healer boon, Combat or Acrobat boon, Heightened Senses boon. And then we also got some hero caches, which are guaranteed to have at least some of the superpowers. We also have spires also around the island, which are tied to Daigo. Basically, you can actually, these are like sentient rock things they can actually kill. And when you actually kill them, they give you a decent amount of loot. There are these big red ones that are kind of like marked around the map. And whenever you kill them, that's the way you actually get the exotic weapons. Next is the Light Rider Surf Cube, which I know a lot of people have been liking. And I know this because I remember when the Silver Surfer Surfboard Mythic had actually came out, this is what people wanted out of it. Not whatever it was back then. This is what people wanted. It's basically kind of like the air bending, except you're able to hover in the air for a few seconds. I personally like it, and it's some of the best mobility I've seen in a long time. We also have the Mist Form Cape, which basically whenever you have it, it then actually turns you into a bird temporarily. You're invincible in that bird form, and that's how, like, you know, you're able to, like, fly around and stuff like that. If you actually get the Mist Gauntlets and the Mist Form in your inventory at the exact same time, it actually becomes a new item called the Ascendant Mist, where basically if you actually use the ADS button while having it in your hands, it then turns you into a bird. You can switch out of it by using the shoot button, and it actually lets you attack using the birds. I actually really like this. It turns the two things into one thing and stuff. That's really cool. Next up, one of my favorites of this season, and this one has started a lot of controversy, the Storm Beast Pom-Poms. This being tied to Haley Sky's Storm Beast form, and a lot of people really don't like this. I also want to point out that this is one of the first few times you're actually able to transform into something else that it doesn't have anything to do with the collab. And before it was Thanos, Doom, the Star Destroyer, Godzilla. Now you can just change into a Storm Beast and this one isn't copyrighted, so we could return whenever. But anyways, you're able to like jump in the air. You can actually like slam onto the ground. You can do some slashes on people. I wouldn't say it's very strong. Like in those two attacks that I just told you about, that's all it can do. There's no distance attack that it can do, like like shooting a storm thing out of its mouth or something. No, that's not there. So as to what makes this OP is basically, it basically gives you like an entirely different health bar and stuff. You got a decent amount of health while in this form. If you actually get yourself out of it, you're willingly, then it takes away a lot of durability. This does have durability, and depending on the durability, that's how much health you're gonna be at. And even if you kill anybody who's in the Storm Beast form, all that's gonna happen is it'll kick them out of it, and they'll still have everything that's in their inventory and stuff. This has started a lot of controversy, but what do you guys think of the Storm Beast pom-poms and anybody who's using the Storm Beast form? I think it's really cool. I want more unique items like it. You also have Academy Tech Labs, which are also all around the island marked and stuff, which actually are guaranteed to have some of the powers. You can either buy them with gold, or you can probably be lucky and find them from a chest or from these stands. We also have one of my favorite things in this season, the Superman's Call. And basically what this is, they're only, this happens kind of like Godzilla, where basically it's there's a chance of it spawning in the game. And what happens is, if somebody gets that Superman's Call medallion-looking thing that lands from the sky, that person becomes Superman. They get the ability to fly. They're really fast. They can actually do a super punch. They can slam on the ground, and they have heat vision. But just like Godzilla, it's not forever. It's gonna go away and all that stuff. You are able to make it last a little bit longer by getting some kills. At first, it wasn't very strong. They made it a little bit better, within one update or something. And just like the Storm Beast pom-poms, if somebody kills you as Superman, or if the timer runs out, you then basically just change back into your normal self, rather than it, just immediately killing you or something like how it does with Doom's Chosen or Thanos. The Surging Speed boon, the only way to get that is by basically shooting whoever is Superman for that match, and then it gives you the boon. It's actually pretty alright. Overall, the weapons, they got a good variety of them this time around, and I had a lot of fun using all these weapons. They are so fun. And I'm hoping that we actually do get these Storm Beast pom-poms in creative. Imagine something like that in creative. Also, I'm hoping we can get DC template islands. I'd like to be able to play as Superman again. He's really fun. Now we're going to be looking at the map here. As for the Battle Royale map that we've seen so far, some of the bigger changes are Demon's Domain and the Supernova Academy. Demon's Domain, of course, is where my dude Daigo spawns every single game at the beginning and stuff. Corresponds in later on the floating island. Supernova Academy is, of course, where you'll find a guaranteed find, some of these superhero chests, so that way you can actually get these superhero powers and stuff. And southwest of the map, you can actually basically see a frozen area. That is where the Fortress of Solitude is, where you can actually see the Superman NPC and stuff. Now, an interesting thing I do want to talk on with the map is, remember, last season was the Star Wars one. And you would think that the POIs would have left, but no. The Resistance base, the First Order's base, and the Outpost Enclave, I think is how you say that, that is all still here. When it comes to, the both Marvel seasons, both those POIs kind of left and all that stuff whenever the season was over, but these ones are still here. I'm curious about why. Why are they still here? Is it because of the whole Disney thing? What do you guys think of the map so far? I think it's cool, but I do feel like the Star Wars stuff should have left, personally. Now, some other things that also happened during this season. We had the 14 Days of Summer event happen, which a lot of people are saying is the worst since the last one, and that's something we've been seeing for years now. Since, like, Chapter 3, I want to say. People didn't say it was the best, but that one, a lot of people thought it was better than Chapter 4's Chapter 5 summer event. They have not been too good as of recently. However, I will say there is one good thing that happened this summer event. The one good thing that they actually did was that they finally brought back the daily unvaults. Each day for the duration of the summer event, they had actually unvaulted a weapon we haven't seen in a long time for about a day. Then the very next day, they would unvault that weapon again and unvault something else. I believe this hasn't been seen since like 2019 from what I've heard. And I'm curious about like, why hasn't it? Why is this not like the standard for like summer and winter events whenever Epic is on break? They should be doing this more. One of the weapons I also want to point out that they actually brought back was the pump shotgun, which I believe hasn't been seen on normal, like since, for the current day Battle Royale map since like Chapter 2, I think? They brought it back in like LTMs and in like Fortnite OG and stuff, but I'm not counting that. The rewards here wasn't the best, but we also had around this time a new LTM that was introduced. It's called Blitz Royale. Blitz Royale is basically like a 5-minute version of Battle Royale. I heard this was leaked before, a smaller Battle Royale that only takes like 5 minutes and doesn't fit as many people. And Blitz is actually pretty fun. You're able to get a free skin out of it, back bling, pickaxe, glider, and stuff. And each week, it actually has a different event week, basically. And how it works is each week it might have, like one theme, then it'll have another one. There was one theme with like the Ninja Turtles weapons, another one with the boons and stuff. Avatar. As of recently, they actually had it to where it is a ninja-themed one, where Ninja had actually taken control of Blitz. He had actually, maybe like at least like 5 weapons of his own. I think also a llama appears in here, and then there's the Kamehameha that you can actually find in there. Blitz is entirely chaotic. I forgot to also mention, it is entirely zero build. There is no builds version of this. And Blitz has started its own little topic of controversy. How is it controversial? Because people are mixed on like whether it should stay or not, or if it should it have been an LTM or something. I understand both sides. On one hand, if they actually keep it as a permanent mode, basically they actually made this mode with mobile in mind. So that's why it seems like a lot of people are playing it. And it also gives Epic an opportunity to actually mess around with the loot pool a little bit, making it as chaotic as they want to, but at the same time nobody complaining about it. On the other hand, it's also splitting the player base more and more. People being like, wow, another mode? Also, this mode is 5 minutes, while a standard Battle Royale is 20 minutes. You guys know, like, how people are saying, like, oh, people have a lower attention span because of, like, TikTok and stuff like that? This has people wondering, are people having a smaller and smaller attention span to the point where they can't commit to a full-on 20-minute Battle Royale? What do you guys think of this whole thing? Do you guys think that Blitz should be removed? Do you think it's okay that it's permanent and stuff? Actually, to clarify this, I believe, it's here until 2027, but I wouldn't be surprised if they made it permanent regardless. Or this just might be imposters eventually or something, who knows. We also got another mode, called LEGO Expeditions. Basically, we have LEGO Odyssey, we got LEGO Brick Life, now we have Expeditions. It's basically one where you're able to play as one of 3 hero classes. Either the Rift Ripper, Shadow Caller, or the Hunter. You're actually seeing some of that gameplay in the background right now, where basically you're able to kind of play missions and stuff like that. You have powers and stuff, you can get yourself some weapons, you're beating bosses, you can gain XP, and level up your hero, get some upgrades for them to make them even more stronger and jacked. If this doesn't sound familiar to you, it's basically like Save the World. And in this mode, it is actually pretty fun. I think it's really good. It does seem like it's going to be a permanent mode, I should say. It doesn't sound like they're removing it anytime soon. But this does have people wondering this, though. Why was Epic willing to give so much love to this mode, but they weren't willing to do it with Save the World, like 5 to 6 years ago. To this day, it barely still gets any updates. It does get an update like at least once or twice a year, but that's about it. It's nothing really that major. And of course, it is splitting the loot pool more and more and more as it does, because that's what that's what happens whenever you actually add in more and more modes. What do you guys think of this mode though? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comments. Few honorable mentions also. We also had a Father's Day collab in the shop, and it gave us King of the Hill, like Hank Hill. We got Bob Belcher from Bob's Burgers, and Cleveland Brown from The Cleveland Show and Family Guy. I think this is the first time they've ever done anything for Father's Day, and I think that's kind of funny. This one should be a little bit more huge, but it feels like a lot of people doesn't care about this one. Epic has finally collabed with Squid Game. I remember when a lot of people wanted this back in Chapter 2, Season 7, when the show first came out and it was popular. Nowadays, of course people still like it, but it wasn't as popular as it was before. So Squid Game is now finally in Fortnite. They also have their own reload map, and they also have their own template islands. And I did see a lot of people have a bit of some controversy with that. I'll talk on the skins first when it comes to the skins. Something I saw that a lot of people found interesting was that 2 of the skins, I might put them on screen if I feel like it. 2 of them actually look like characters from the show, but it's not actually them. And this has some people being like, are they going to do this more and more when it comes to these model skins? Like, where they have like 5 males, 5 females and stuff. Are they going to make one to where it at least looks like somebody from the show or where it came from? I wouldn't mind them doing that. Squid Game also has its own reload map, where and it's actually pretty unique and different. You can probably find some gameplay of it somewhere, but there's like some POIs where like you can actually search like a llama or 2, and actually as like a reward for completing some of the Squid Games, like red light, green light, and stuff. And as I mentioned before, it's also getting template islands, just like The Walking Dead and the Ninja Turtles. As of me recording this should be available to publish for everybody on August 14th. And a lot of people are mixed on that because it's so far away from like the shows, from season 3's the release date and stuff. So a lot of people probably don't even care about this now, and are probably not going to care once it's available. But what do you guys think? We also got a collab with somebody by the name Heung-Min. Yeah, Epic is starting to actually collab with more Korean related stuff. Are we gonna get K-pop stars next, like let's say Blackpink or something? Who knows? Of course, we also had the Superman collab. In the item shop, we had Mr. Terrific and the Engineer. I also want to point out the skin, the Engineer. An interesting thing about her, I'm pretty sure that the reason why her name is the skin, the Engineer DC in parentheses, is because we already have a skin in the game named the Engineer. She was released in Chapter 5. And I'm curious about, if we got the DC's Engineer first and this one later, what would this skin have been called? I don't know. But anyways, we also got a Fantastic Four collab, which a lot of people have been wanting because, well, we saw the Fantastic Four back in Chapter 5, Season 4, but they're dead. So this one is a collab with the new movie, and they cooked. And of course, with the new season, we also got Fortnite OG Season 4. And in this OG pass, we get 3 skins, like always, you already know. These skins are Omega Suit Alpha, Street Wave Technique, and the Visitor Reality Unknown. Each of these skins are cool, but I do want to talk on the Visitor a little bit more. This is our first ever reskin of him, so a lot of people are happy about that. A little detail I wanted to point out about him, I don't know if they fixed it or not, but if you actually go to like a Fall Guys template island, like when actually looking at Discovery, basically, while wearing the skin, yeah, his name actually changes. I don't know if they fixed it right now, but his name, I'm pretty sure, was changed last minute. His original name is the Visitor Reality 157. I'm curious what that means for the storyline. What is Reality 157? We don't know, but that's a whole thing, I guess. And on the topic of OG, we just recently had the OG Rocket event happen. If you guys don't know what that is, this was the event back in Chapter 1, Season 4, the first ever live event, or a mini live event, if anything, that we ever had in Fortnite. What had happened was, in the villain base, you actually were able to see a rocket with a countdown. The rocket shot up, and basically, that was the visitor's ride to wherever he's going, I guess. But in this event, a red rift butterfly actually flies, near my character here, as you can see in the gameplay. Flies towards the rocket, then the visitor's rocket takes off, it goes into a bunch of rifts, starts flying around, it then makes a giant rift in the sky that is actually red. Originally, it was blue in the original event, then this one is, well, red. I think some people pointed out that the event originally felt longer. The original one. This one didn't feel as long. I can't remember. But regardless, the event happened again. This is the first time, like, an event, we were able to rewatch an entire event again. This one had some slight differences, but you were able to rewatch the event, and I saw them both times. And this isn't the only time Epic is going to be redoing these events again. They're going to be doing it for, I would imagine, stuff like Kevin the Cube in Season 5 and stuff. But I did see some people talking about this event, how the event was very underwhelming and was not very good. My stance on this is, of course it wasn't. This is basically just a remade event from Chapter 1. And back in Chapter 1, this was really huge, because we didn't see games do this too much. For the event, the Epic has improved on events as time went on and stuff, so our standard for live events have been a little bit raised and stuff. Same thing for mini events too. So of course this one wasn't going to be anything too special for, for today's standard that people have on live events. But I thought it was okay. All it was just this original one over again. Another interesting thing I think is worth pointing out is that earlier this update, as of me recording this is the last update of the season for Blitz, and I believe for Fortnite OG. There's actually a new mode called Pure Chaos mode, and basically what it is it actually is basically the exact same Battle Royale, but with no bots. Which this is something people have been asking for years, ever since the whole skill-based matchmaking thing. An option to toggle on and off bots in the game. Because bots have been a problem, but they're a bit of a necessary evil, but at the same time, they're also a bit of a problem. So the purpose of this mode is, of course, it's supposed to be 100 people, none of them are bots. They're all just real people. Which is what made people fall in love with Fortnite in the first place. However, of course, this has its own problem. The problem is, despite it advertising the fact that there are real people here, it's still mostly bots. I'm not sure if they fixed it yet, but for the most part, you are still fighting bots rather than real people. I believe Blitz has its own version of this, where basically you can actually have 6 people along in your team rather than the standard squad, which is kind of a crazy thing, actually. That I never seen that before, besides in, creative maps. Regardless, I'm hoping Epic does fix this to where, there are actually real people and no bots at all. That's it on that. I'm now back, and I just recently watched the new live event, the Super Showdown, and it is starting a little bit of some discourse. But firstly, let me actually talk about what the event was about. The event starts with you just kind of waiting around shooting these ball things. They're like an optional thing, they don't really matter too much. Daigo appears. He's then kind of draining a lot of power from, I guess, the spires that are kind of floating around. And then that's when the tentacle monster thing, I'll just call it from the Kraken from moving forward. We see the Kraken spawning in, and then he just kind of slaps Daigo away, just sending him flying off like he's Team Rocket. Now, I haven't been keeping too much up with the storyline, but I'm curious about, why did it slap him? Does anybody know? But anyways, it slapped him, and now we get into this boss fight, having all the heroes except for Robin actually over here helping us fight. And they have some of these comic panel things that kind of just spawn in, showing off all the heroes kind of spawning in. Again, Robin isn't there for whatever reason. Now we're in this boss where we're actually fighting the Kraken. In the specific gameplay here, some people found the Kamehameha somehow. Can anybody tell me how they did that? Somebody tell me. And around, you're able to find some Superhero Academy weapons to fight them with. And every here and there, you would actually see one of the supernovas actually doing having a little cinematic comic moment thing, where they'll actually use a move that just deals a lot of damage to the Kraken. They had one for Synthwave, Hunter, and Morgan Mist. We finish it off. Once we do that, that little area where it just was empty. Now it actually appears again. We then start flying around, and the person to actually finish off the Kraken is actually Superman. He actually does something in this event and actually fights the Kraken and kills him. He doesn't talk, unfortunately. They didn't get David Cornsweet to voice him, I guess. Regardless, he actually saves the day and does it really effortlessly. Now, Demon's Domain is basically a shell of what it once was. Daigo should be back there, but I didn't actually see him because I didn't load into another Battle Royale game after this. But Daigo is back. He seems to be cured and, not evil now. So that's the event right there. What I think of the event was, so this was technically, I guess, a mini event to an extent, because, it wasn't we didn't go into a separate mode to see it, but this is very similar to the Doctor Doom event, where Doom was actually a boss, except, well, this one didn't take as long, and we actually had a little bit more help from the heroes, where they actually did a lot of damage to it. You'll notice how Haley, Sky, Light Rider, and Ziggy and Robin didn't really do much. I believe Ziggy was, and, Light Rider and Haley Sky were there shooting, but they didn't have, like, their own little comic book panel thing. Have their own little special move on the Kraken done on them for some reason. I don't know why, but you guys can feel free to have your own thoughts on why they didn't do that. But anyways, this event is kind of like the Doom event. I think this was fine. I think it's cool and all. I like the event. You were actually fighting a boss. It was a little kind of interactive and stuff. You actually got to see Superman actually doing something. Unlike back in Chapter 2, Season 7. This event was about 7 to 8 minutes long, give or take. At least from the recording I have. But I do see a lot of people not really liking this event. And from the reasons that I've seen, at least from what I narrowed it down to, people kind of did have high expectations for this, but also another possibility could be, this is just what I think in my opinion, the timer. The timer, whenever people see a timer, people are going to assume that the event is huge. So huge that it's worthy of a timer. I didn't see as many people complaining when it came to the Megalodon event, where Dr. Doom kind of took it over and stuff. I guess because, well, that one wasn't advertised as much. But then again, people then complained that they should have added a timer so that way people could see it. But then again, I make the argument that if there was a timer, then people would then say, that they made it seem like a big deal because of the timer and stuff. Again, people have had really high expectations, so they kind of did set themselves up for disappointment. I had them a little bit low and stuff. I wasn't expecting this to be like a jaw-dropping event, but I at least enjoyed my time with it and stuff. I think it was alright. Now to summarize everything I just talked on, the Battle Pass, love it. The weapons, love it. The map, pretty alright, but could have had a few changes. The summer event, not really good, but at least it did have one redeeming thing about it. Blitz was introduced. I have fun with Blitz. I'm glad it's here. I love playing LEGO Expeditions. That one's pretty good. The Father's Day stuff is kind of funny. Squid Game, finally. They should have added this a long time ago. Superman, great. Fantastic Four, great. Fortnite OGs, Battle Pass and the event, pretty alright. Battle Pass was great. The event was kind of meh, but again, it was an old event. The Chapter 6 event was pretty okay. All my thoughts on this season, I myself played a lot with some friends, so for me, I actually had a lot of fun with this season. A lot of people are saying that this is some of the worst Season 3s or something like that, but I feel like to a lot of people that would go to wrecked. So, which one's the worst Season 3? I don't know, but anyways, I think this Season 3 was actually kind of fun. They actually messed around a little bit. It could have been better. It could have been better. I wish Superman was a little bit stronger, even though they buffed him. But that's pretty much it. What do you guys think of this entire season and everything I just talked on? Do you guys have the same opinions I do? Do you guys think something different? Let me know in the comments. Hopefully you guys enjoyed though. If you did, let me know with a like. Comment down below your thoughts on everything I just talked on. If you'd like to support me in the item shop, my code is RageQuickGod. And I'll see y'all next season.